Culture Casino. 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 Oh. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Oh. Culture Casino. Culture Casino.
Culture Casino.
Culture Casino. Culture Casino.
Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Culture Casino.
Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Culture Casino.
Good morning, everybody. A good Saturday morning to each and every one of you. Man, do we've got lots to talk about. Gonna be crazy today. Crazy for feeling so lonely. That's right. I see the lovely Six is in the chat. So are so many others. I've got all of the wrenches. I have to say a special thank you to the wrenches this morning. We should get thanked all the time for everything that you do. You are incredible, keeping shows on track and in line, well, keeping the bad behavior away, which I appreciate greatly. I want to say thank you to Curtis Joseph for the 250 Canadian in Culture Casino Clams. Daniel Day-Lewis in a new film, Anemone. Interesting. That's fascinating. Did not know that at all, but that's pretty cool. Let's see who else is out there in the universe. Probably many, many folks like the Weatherman, who shows up on both Green Machine and the Red Dragon. We've got Peach, Fan, and good morning to you. We've got Jill with her wrench. Good morning to you. To all of the Culturians, Culturinos, and Culturites. There we go. Culturistas? I don't know. We'll have to come up with more stuff. But welcome to the Cult of Culture, Jan Monroe. Good day. Autocorrect is evil. Well, I mean, it's just no bueno. We've got Captain Phantom Nerd out there, one of the longtime supporters of the channel. Of course, a great channel in and of his own. If he would just get back to content. We want to say thank you to all of the money out there. Just want to say yesterday was incredible. For those of you contributing to and supporting channels, I just want to say thank you on behalf of all of us. January is a particularly tough month for the people who use this vehicle to survive and pay bills. Is this new music? No, I did this music a bit ago. It is, of course, not without artificial help. But yeah, no, it's just for Saturday. Got my volume way up. Whoa, you couldn't hear it? I turned it way down. Way down. There's Six. I said she was here. There she is. Where's Culture Homoerotica Casino? I don't know. I have to look up that. That Service Dog's in the house. Good to see you. A few other folks like the beautiful Deep Bow, I got John Yolden out there from the UK. Great channel over there. It's good to see you, my friend. Need to communicate with you, give you some idea of when I can come over and hang out on your channel, because it looked like you had a great slate of things to talk about. The very lovely Sherry, who is incredibly amazing and wonderful. And if you're wondering why we still haven't got your new commercial, it's all my fault. I got sick, so I will work with Tox to get that finished, and we will get that done for you. Again, lovely six. Oh, there he is. There I are. Mephisto's Movie Reviews. Great channel, great dude, and great conversations over there. He's got another one coming up probably right after Salty Nerd Podcast, which is where you will be redirected from here. That's enough of that. Just want to say hi to Cynthia Carter and Boosh, Boosh, and many, many more like Starship or Spaceship. I like Starship Vampire, but Spaceship Vampire works, my friend. The lovely Penny, Penny, Penny. Good to see you. Hillis Mallory's out there, and so many more. We've got lots to talk about. If you guys didn't see the titles, there's a lot to deal with today, both here and abroad. We've got Keely Chow out there. Roll Tide, brother. Frank is in the house. Roll Tide, and Frank's here. We've got Weatherman with 5 Culture Casino clams. That's right. He's taking care of the working man. Thank you for that, Weatherman. And let's see. That's right. Culturistas? Come on now. There's no problem with culturistas, is there? I mean, if I opened a coffee shop, right? Tastier back in the 80s, I think it'll be all right. Let's see. I owe you guys just a howdy ho. See, because now I could get up in the upper registers. The last Englishman says the fires, no problem. They are smashing the patriarchy. Go woke, go DEI. Tell California is a barren wasteland. Well, I don't really want all of California to look like Fallout. I have fond memories of California and many, many other things. So please, no, I'm not sure that that's a requirement, let's say. Matt G's out in the house, and my good friend Mark Daly is as well. And Nick the Greek says, my gaydar went off. I knew culture was streaming. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that. I got my little Barbie pink sparkly hat, thanks to Toxic Man Flu. So I'm going to wear that up there for the rest of January, I think. And let's see who else is out there. Sergeant Giratina. Good morning, my friend. All right, we need to get to some of these stories immediatamente. So Terry Rose, it's good to see you. And for those of you rolling in the regulars like Judicon, what's going on, Judicon, Caveat Ties, and many, many more. We usually use the first few minutes of the show to say hello to everybody. Estephobos is in the house, and many, many more. So let's get into it. There's lots to talk about. I'm sure Magnify wants to hear about it, and probably Donovan Bradford. Hey, Popsicles in the house too. Good to see you. All right, let's get to it. Let's start first with the death of DEI, or at least the perception that it's passing away rapidly in light of an inauguration that comes on the 20th. And in the rear view of all the bologna sausage, trumped up garbage that, well, was against the incoming president, we have a story of a lovely lady, or in this case, an interesting fellow who just did a interview with Joe Rogan on the Joe Rogan Experience. We have, this Meta and Amazon axe diversity initiatives ahead of Trump's White House return. My goodness. And a very quick shout out and thank you to Liberty Hall's Cat, who gifted a Culture Casino membership. Thank you, my friend, Liberty Hall's Cat. But so Meta and Amazon are done, at least, publicly stated. This is actually because there wasn't a lot of legal in DEI initiatives. In fact, they're incredibly illegal. In fact, the Supreme Court is likely to tear up everybody that brings a case now against all of these types of practices. If it even smells like quota based against protected classes, they're done. And nobody wants to be the precedent. And yet we have plenty of people that volunteered all along. It doesn't even have to be the Supreme Court. It can be any federal court. If you bring a case, to the court's attention for being discriminated against because of the DEI measures, there's almost not a lot of defense. There's almost no defense for this. You can talk about all the good intentions that you want, but what was being done was incredibly illegal. It's even being it's even the things that Microsoft is forcing under the new idea of bridge. And of course, that's not Microsoft specifically, it's the Bill Gates and I guess Melinda Gates Foundation that started off the bridge thing. But Microsoft is employing it, trying to put it at the root layer, which is also illegal. So I imagine Microsoft is setting themselves up for big trouble. Anyway, regardless, everybody's kind of bailing out of this plan, and they should have a long time ago when their lawyers started to recognize just how illegal it was, and it has been since the very beginning. I want to say thank you to Weatherman for a Culture Casino membership. Thank you, Weatherman. You are amazing, both here and on the Green Machine. We do broadcast simulcast. We are on X if you are out and about in your car. We broadcast obviously on YouTube, and of course, we also live broadcast on Rumble. And I'm going to say that I'm going to start removing words from my filtered, censored way of saying things because I don't really feel like self-censoring anymore, unless it's an incredibly sensitive word, specifically just for YouTube. I have to censor just for YouTube because of their confiscatory policies about not hurting somebody's feelings or being monetizable, which basically is just a way to control content creators. And I'm really feeling not very charitable since the one of the people in charge of YouTube right now is talking about replacing creators with AI. So yeah, really kind of a little bit more than upset there. Regardless, Meta and Amazon are both axing their diversity programs, adding their names to a growing list of firms across corporate America making similar moves in anticipation of Donald Trump's return to the White House, which means they can no longer get away with the neo Marxist postmodernism version of authoritarianism that they were, well, more than happy to support under the previous regime, or I guess technically current for at least another 9 days. Oh boy, can't wait to get out from underneath the Marxist boot heel. That's yeah, that no more brown shirts running things. But the BBC reports that Meta Platforms, owner of Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, um, are they missing something? I think they're missing something. Threads? Aren't they threads too? Anyway, sent a memo to staff about the decision, citing a shifting legal and policy landscape. No, it's always been illegal. policy, policy is basically just finally getting around to enforcing this garbage, or enforcing out of existence this garbage, I should say. Other companies to make similar recruitment decisions regarding DEI or diversity efforts since Trump won the U.S. election in November include Walmart and McDonald's. That's right. The BBC says that in the memo from Meta said that the term DEI has become charged. No, it's just illegal. Um, it said that it would continue to look for diverse staff. Um, Again, if anybody can prove or show that, that's illegal activity. But finish seeking selections from a pool of specifically uh, uh, but finish seeking, well, will no longer seek, that should have been worded better, a pool of specifically of diverse candidates. In other words, they're still going to discriminate illegally, but and again, if this is the kind of language they want to use, I'm sorry, lawyers, you need to come up with something better because this is permeable and lots of actionable things have already occurred. So it's not going to protect you from all of that. You're talking about many, many years of doing things illegally, and you will be held accountable. The BBC reports that JP Morgan Chase, ooh, look at that, big boy, and BlackRock this week pulled out of groups focused on the risks of, well, the scare around the weather scare. You know what I'm saying. It follows Meta's announcement 4 days ago that it was ending a fact checking program previously criticized by Trump and Republicans. Uh oh. Well, I tell you what, as far as that goes, I think Zuckerberg acquitted himself well and believably on Joe Rogan's interview with him. It's worth investing your time in. If you have a few hours this weekend, that interview on the Joe Rogan Experience with Mark Zuckerberg was very good. Deadline reported Tuesday that Zuckerberg had posted a video, which again, I mean, you know, he's publicly stated that this is going to end. He stated the reasons why. And that basically means there's no going back. And if he does, he will be publicly accountable. This was a very uh, thought out uh, point in time for him. And then the revelations for just how far the Biden administration went to get them to censor true things was pretty interesting to listen to on that particular podcast. So I'm gonna keep suggesting take the time if you haven't. Um, but the recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. This is what Mr. Zuckerberg said in that video. So we're going back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. In other words, if it's not illegal, deal with it. And we'll have to see if he sticks to that. If he does, they will be in a much better place and people will start using free speech again. Um, of course, free speech is important, but lots of people are clamoring about hate speech, which is garbage. Hate speech is free speech, regardless what you say. So it is what it is. And I found that rather intriguing today. And I thought that article coming out of Deadline specifically, although definitely framed on the yellow side of journalism, really kind of expressed what it was actually happening in the background. There are many companies that have turned their backs. The thumbnail shows some of them. I wanted to show specifically that you're seeing some heavies that are saying these things publicly. And again, they because of their previously stated policies that anything that happened in those years that they had those policies are actionable. It doesn't your crimes in the past don't just go away, especially when it comes to violation of civil rights. But I do have a super chat from our good friend. Um, we've got one from Staccato DDS for 10 Culture Casino clams. Thank you, my friend. My friend. If YouTube demonetizes a video and cuts the creator out of the pie, then why do they continue to use the content for advertising? That's a good question. And I think it's something that'll be explored in the next administration because as it is, 230 was needing more refinement, I will say, in the previous version of the Trump administration. In this, I think they're gonna basically have at 'em, and for a lot of reasons because they demonetized the truth and outright deleted people telling the truth. That's actually a form of content moderation called having editorial control, which they're not supposed to have because they that's being basically a free speech organization, like a news organization, etc. So if they're taking editorial control and the person didn't say anything illegal or didn't do anything illegal, they're opening themselves up for lawsuits. And if they continue to use or have or contain the content, they're opening themselves up for more lawsuits from the creator side. There's a whole lot of stuff here that I don't care what their terms of service says. If you're violating the law, the terms of service in that regard, in that area, are illegal. So I have a feeling there are going to be a lot of very wealthy pro speech, pro free speech attorneys out there that are going to make the glut of the money for the next 4 or more years. We believe in free speech in this country. They don't believe in that in the UK, though, and have threatened U.S. citizens. I think that's going to be a party time. But yeah, um, I'm very frustrated with that. I suffered that on a couple of videos, and many other creators have suffered more. Not to mention the fact that your videos can run up in huge numbers and then all of a sudden be demonetized because of a change in feeling, and they exercise editorial control in that way. I'm talking a little bit more freely than I normally do. So please follow me over on Rumble and follow me on X if you do not already. If you are on X, thanks for being here. Make sure you follow. I'm trying to get subscribers, which means I have to release more stuff on X in order to qualify. And I need like 250,000 views in a 3 month period or some such. So the more you follow me over on X, the better. Anyway, um, there's that. I will say thank you once again to Staccato DDS, who is a huge supporter of the channel. And I want to say thanks to another incredible super chat that happened while I was yammering away from our pal Snakes and Funerals for 2 Culture Casino clams. Illegal, unconstitutional, and un-American. Well, yeah, I could say that across the board. Those types of things that violate civil rights should be punished. The federal government should actually help convey giant chunks of financial damage to the injured parties. I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of that's been done for a long, long time. And a lot of my friends got just wrecked at times and had their growth inhibited. In fact, I would say right now, my growth is inhibited. You cannot tell the truth on this platform, and not worry or be concerned that what you've said is going to put some kind of mark in the background, hidden, um, thing metric that just lays on top of you, and it's ridiculous. So right now I'm not getting the views that I would normally get, or anything else on the videos I'm releasing. I don't think people are even being notified that I'm dropping videos at this point. I've dropped several in the last week and the previous week especially. Gonna be dropping a video or two later today, so just keep an eye out for your fellow creators. Double check you're still subscribed to them. And if you are, share their content when they drop something. Hit the thumbs up button on it. Anything you see from them, it really does level the playing field as far as the algorithm goes. Because otherwise, they just keep recommending, the stuff that they feel is safe, like, you know, Jimmy Kimmel or some such. Anyway, we'll keep moving. We got Amelia Clark out there. Amelia Clark's scroll arm saying, safer protocol than aspirin labeled as dangerous. Yes, there are a lot of mislabeled things. I think the FDA will be changing a lot of that. Our good friend Mexican Iron Man is out there. He's a supporter of everybody. Um, and We've got an amazing set of gifties out there that I have to grab from our good friend Scott Westbrook. He's got 5 Culture Casino memberships. Thank you for that, Scott. Very much appreciated. We are rolling into the total. We try to every single day. We try to get to 20 memberships just to keep our membership base strong. We appreciate that kind of support. It's something that creators can somewhat rely on, and they do appreciate. Dengar Renegades in the house. Good to see you. I'll keep scrolling because the newfound stance on censorship. Here we go. 6 is testing me for 10 Culture Casino clams. Let's test Culture stance on censorship. Okay, here we go. Transgender, feminist, diversity, boobies, abortion, murder, spinach, Ukraine, war, pixie sticks, ingrown toenail, magenta, Disney, gay people, fire crotch. There you go. Now, 6, if I get demonetized, you know where I'm pointing the finger. $10 won't cover it, but thank you. Anyway, so Spaceship Vampire says testing. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I don't know what's the problem is with spinach. I like spinach. I like baby spinach. I think a blanched baby spinach on a sandwich is good, with obviously other components. But Deeple for 2. Culture Casino Cash. The truth will set you free, Culture. I haven't seen one of your videos show up on my YT recommendation in a week or so. Streams aren't populating either. Rumble is the future. YouTube, chat people, come over. It'll always help. Yep, I did it. I did it. What a joker! Hey, that's a cool name. I like it. RC's in the house. Good day, RC. Hope you're doing well. Um, let's see who else is out there. Yeah, see, even John Monkey likes spinach. There you go. Yeah. What else is happening? Let's see. We don't bite. That's true. They don't bite over at Rumble. They used to. They don't anymore. My great friend and powerful producer of the internet. He produces the entire internet, whether you believe it or not. Mexican Iron Man for 5 Culture Casino clams says, "I agree. 6. Let's test YouTube and discuss culture stance on illegal homo, transgender, pedo, Ukraine, migrant UK roaming gangs, LOL. There you go. Thank you for the $5 super chat. And again, if I'm demonetized, I'm gonna be screwed because YouTube's a full-time gig for me. You guys want to put it to the test? It's fine. Homogenous. Yes, let's not be homogenous creators. All right, let's move on. Enough with trying to get culture demonetized. I again thought these people were my friends. Apparently, I've been proven wrong. So there's that. So let's talk a little bit about the Forbes version of the same story because I think that it's more than a bit relevant. They're recognizing that it's going to be a corporate wide situation that are going to um, flee DEI, and they have to. Again, it's illegal. So let's jump into that story very quickly. Um, we got McDonald's joining the stampede of corporations retreating from DEI. McDonald's announced, and I'm sorry for the format on this. This is Forbes forcing a frame, which means I can't edit it as much as I normally would to make it bigger. I hate this about Forbes. I think it's dumb. It also it changes how I have to read things, which I keep beginning this. It keeps not working. But anyway, McDonald's just announced that it is revising its diversity, equity, and inclusion program, claiming its previous DEI policy has achieved its goals. No, that's not what happened. They're terrified about enforcement. So it is what it is. In a letter to McDonald's franchise owners and operators, company employees, and suppliers worldwide, CEO Chris Kempzenik-Ziski, I don't know, stated, "We are immensely proud of our accomplishments." Well, cool, because you're going to write some big checks because you were going to get your pants suit off because you put all of that stuff in writing, and now it's actionable and questionable in the future. We are immensely proud of our accomplishments, but we are not satisfied. Our commitment to inclusion requires ongoing focus. So they're not stopping. They're going to open themselves up to they're getting their pantsuit off. I mean, and for some people, they would fancy that. Inclusion has become the key word as it drops the words diversity and equity. Okay, it's more than just a vocabulary change. No, it isn't. It's a vocabulary change, and they're really say what you will. Um, you cannot discriminate for any of the reasons that you are discriminating for in the course of employment or pretty much anything else in business operation. You open yourself up to lawsuits. So, to better capture McDonald's commitment to inclusion, Golden Arches is now going to live by the power of the company's golden rule, treating everyone with dignity, fairness, and respect always. Uh huh. No fairness. Fairness. That's a weenie word, a weasel word. It's a manipulative word, and it's a lie. Dignity, sure, but you should be doing that anyway. The golden rule should have been the way you operated your business anyway. Respect is earned. You treat people with a level of initial respect, certainly. But if they disrespect you or anything else going on, they've no longer deserve similar respect. Sorry. Respect is earned. The shift towards inclusion is not without precedent. Johnny Taylor, President and CEO of the Society for Human Resource Management, an organization that should be held under greater scrutiny than just much as most of these neo Marxist organizations should be held, said in a LinkedIn post, "We're going to lead with inclusion because we need a world where inclusion is front and center." No, see, in other words, we're going to try to enforce our neo Marxism. Our illegal activities we're going to try to enforce through human resources. Human resources is the most damaging part of a corporation and can immediately and completely and forever destroy a corporate culture. Human resources is more poisonous to employees than it is to a corp, oftentimes leading to rot from within that essentially it makes that corporation less than a one generation operation. Not good. There are good HR employees out there. It's true. There are good HR operations out there. Also true. But again, human resources is not there for your benefit, employees. It's there for the corporate thing. And the only thing you really need a human resources organization, if you hire from outside or do a third party or whatnot, is to just manage your books and your compliance. That's it. Everything else, HR should not touch because again, they're incredibly corrupt. Um, we can get into how I feel about HR and unions sometime, um, because they may have started out in good for good reason and done good things, but look around now. Look around now. Regardless, um, so changes made at McDonald's. So with Kempczynski's letter detailed accomplishments McDonald's has achieved in diversifying employee representation. Let me tell you, I've been through some neighborhoods. There's no representation in some of these McDonald's. Um, Supplier diversity and drawing franchise applicants from underrepresented groups. By whose standard? Um, I guess this Doug Melville person calls an evolution of its DEI policies not a retrenchment. No, it's retiring aspirational representation goals. In other words, retiring the idea because we're going to be sued out of our minds, pushing survey submissions to third party groups like the controversial Human Rights Campaign's Corporate Entity Index. And again, this needs to be removed. In fact, we need to figure out a way to classify NGOs as political organizations, because that's what they are now. They are supported largely by like the drive towards communism and socialism. That's what most of these NGOs now do. There are some that don't, for sure. There are some that do good works, sure. But Human Rights Campaign, garbage tier. Ending its required DEI pledge for suppliers. That's right. They were illegally doing things with that as well, selecting suppliers based on the color of their skin. Incredibly illegal. Changing the name of its global DEI Center of Excellence to the Global Inclusion. See, the minute you use the word inclusion, you're compromised. You're neo-Marxist because you're essentially putting that one word front and center, just proceeding to do exactly what you were doing before. You can rename your Marxism anything you want. You can rename your anti-human rights thing anything you want. Civil rights, human rights, you can rename it whatever you want. But you're still a neo-Marxist program. So they talk about the other companies that run away, as I did before. Walmart, Tractor Supply, Home Depot, Lowe's, Brown Forman, which I guess is some kind of booze. I think it's like maybe it's Jack Daniels, Molson Coors, Boeing, and Ford. Boeing really has to because they really screwed up. And Ford are among the major corporations that have reassessed and revised those policies. You know why Ford did it? Because they can't afford to lose a lawsuit or a series of lawsuits because of their illegal procedures. And because it's probably the only way that they'll survive as a corporation through what is definitely a trend towards bankruptcy. They're probably breathing a sigh of relief that you're going to see a rollback in the neo-Marxist WEF policies on automobiles all being electric, impossible to charge, and well, because there's no infrastructure, and the impossible thing that they would have to do as far as mining minerals in order to make it happen, so that everybody who can drive, would be able to continue to drive. It's insanity at this point. Um, the business case for DEI weakening, beyond the legal implications. I'm going to tell you right now, the law is going to come and kick your butt. And we'll go back to this part, which is legal challenges. So, shortly after the Supreme Court ruling against Harvard University found that its race based admissions policy violated the 14th Amendment, da, 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 the attorney generals of 13 states sent a letter to Fortune 100 CEOs warning their corporate DEI policies could put them on the wrong side of federal and state law. So, treating people differently because of the color of their skin, even for benign purposes, is unlawful and wrong. Companies engage in racial discrimination should and will face serious legal consequences. People, we are not effing around on this, right? So the retailers that are doing business in any of these states are playing a game of legal jeopardy if they don't heed the AG's warnings, specifically those operating in Alabama, Arkansas, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, South Carolina, Tennessee, and West Virginia. Anyway, I'll keep going. But I just wanted to jump into responding because I have been talking for a while. I do not like to pontificate or rant about things at length like that. But let's uh, let's jump in. We got more super chats. I will get to right now. No super chats left behind on my channel. Weatherman for 5 Culture Casino. Clam says another $5 to the Culture Casino Retirement Fund. Yes, sounds good. Liberty Hall's cat for 5 Culture Casino cash. Says Culture, a little palate cleanser. Puppy dogs, kitty cats, aw, flowers, roses, summertime, fresh rain, bacon, tea, ducks, and bears. Ducks and bears. All right, I like that. That's good. I feel like I'm gonna start singing head, shoulders, knees, and toes now. You know, I need a niece or a nephew to sing that to. We got Hillis Mallory for 5 Culture Casino clams, human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. That's a little line from Ghostbusters. Thank you, Hillis Mallory. That is a quote from amazing. I love that line. Our lovely Angela Richter gifts a Culture Casino membership. Thank you to the Sumatran Tiger Avatar. I just love that every single day. And Mexican Iron Man says for 10 more Culture Casino cash, answer me this. How come McDonald's needs to focus on diversity when everyone that eats there and everyone that works there is already various shades of black, brown, I'm going to add a word, white, and fat positivity due to the food? Well, I'm going to tell you a little something you probably may not know, or maybe many of you probably do. We have a very smart audience here. McDonald's used to, I'm not sure if they sure do, call the people who eat their food users because they made sure to make it a very addictive food product. So, that's why you still crave to this very day McDonald's fries, despite the fact that they're now starch sticks. And thank you for the $10 super chat, Mikey. Okay, now this is censorship 6 because I don't curse on my day shows, and you know that. Censorship test part 2. Fuck. A good try. Curtis Joseph for a Canadian dollar. Thank you, Curtis Joseph, for a Canadian dollar. A Canadian clam. Indeed. Canucky Bucks, let's call them. And here's the thing that everybody should know. Okay? I want you to understand why this stuff needs to be immediately eliminated, and this particular entity needs to be thrown into jail in its entirety, at least the leaders of and the people who pushed forth a lie and got it globally destroying corporate culture. The McKinsey studies can't be validated, not in any way, not in this huge number of attempts that have been tried. And they refuse to release the people and the entities and the process for which they went about gaining this information and publishing it as a uh, credible work of any sort. So you cannot replicate anything that they had or any numbers. And they say specifically, the Econ Journal Watch by Professor Jeremiah Green and John R.M. Hand, that our results indicate that despite the imprimatur often given to McKinsey's 2015, 2018, and 2020 and 2023 studies, McKinsey's studies are neither conceptually nor empirically support the argument for large U.S. public firms uh, can expect on average to deliver improved financial performance if they increase the racial, ethnic diversity of their executives, they wrote. It's unprovable. In fact, if anything, it's disprovable at this point. And a lot of people through other studies have indicated that DEI training may divide and not unify. It always divides. It's incredibly divisive. You have to go and learn about your white privilege if you happen to look white. You may not even be white, but you're gonna darn well, because of your looks, because of the appearance, you're gonna illegally be forced to attend things or will put your career and or job at jeopardy or your future. Believe it or not, they've publicly said that particular type of thing to employees at many of these companies. These programs can increase hostility, intergroup conflicts, and other problems because they're not being employed with any kind of merit behind them. People will get preferential promotional opportunities for no reason other than the color of their skin or their background or who they like to take to bed at night. Entirely illegal. Whew. Sorry, a little upset. I think it's Deeple. I think I prefer divide, exclude, and indoctrination, because that's what it is. I mean, it's being done at an educational level. And until we get this out of the education system, we got big problems. If you're supposed to have an advanced degree in something, you should have an advanced understanding of the world. And if you kowtowed or bowed to any of these programs or ideals and these ideological things, you know, college failed you. You don't know how to think for yourself. You just know how they want you to think. That's what, yeah, again, anybody who buys into this garbage, you've been had. You've been had. And public opinion across this nation and around the globe has turned on this completely. You're starting to see these numbers fall. You're going to see these numbers continue to fall. Nobody wants to work in an oppressive place. Anyway, let's get to some of your comments. Sorry about that. Little bit of a rant at the end there, but I'm largely angered by this, and the fact that corporations, big ones, are running away from it tells you just how illegal, illogical, and ill-conceived it's all been to adapt to. You can go read the Forbes article for yourself. Um, Lots of crazy stuff going on. Um, and I'm actually writing an article on this for That Park Place right now. Might appear today or tomorrow up on the website, um, taking into account all the articles that I've read on this morning. So it is it's interesting, and I've been talking about the McKinsey bologna sausage for years now, and the fact that anybody paid attention to that garbage. McKinsey needs to be put out of business for that. The cultural harm that they caused in this country, I'm I'm angered by. Uh, Incapacitate. That's another word to replace inclusion, right? But they kind of have. They've destroyed U.S. companies, and that was the whole point of all of these things. We trying to slow America down. It's a fight against American exceptionalism and an attitude that here in the United States we have. We live and die by freedom. We are exceptional because oftentimes we disregard um, expectations and aim a bit higher. Other countries in the world do it too, but in the United States, we're a little more rebellious. We're more likely to fight the government on, issues that we do not believe fall within the Constitution. This is one of those times we need to fight it back to the ground and put the fear of God into these corporations for kowtowing to these things. I want to say thank you. Thank you, Weatherman, for gifting another Culture Casino membership over on the Green Machine. That's right, Rumble. I'm saying it live. This I'm going to be so demonetized on this video. It's the way it is. But really, um, the whole reason that I wanted to talk a little bit about this is because all these companies are motivated to get out of the DEI business or try to softly, which is why they're leaving the inclusion bologna sausage in place because they do not want litigation. Because litigation on these matters, if one person wins on any of these corps, they're all done. And they know that. And they want to mitigate some of the damage that will be done to them. Ford's screwed. McDonald's screwed. If anybody wins a case against them for this or a class action, it's over. You are now going to have tens of thousands of class action lawsuits putting all of these corporations at the brink of existence. They will either exist or they won't because the financial damage will be unimaginable. And it will be immediately supported if you walk up through the chain federally. If you go all the way to the top to the Supreme Court, you're done. They've already said this is illegal. Boosh. Well, no bleeping stuff. They just now figured this out? No, they knew it all along. That's the problem. Hey, the lovely Cynthia Carter. What? You mean a company fudged the positive effects of what they were selling? No way. Just kidding. In other news, water is still wet. It is. Thank you. Let's see. Zendaya is a Meghan Markle type, a vicious narcissist. I agree. You and I agree. Not to mention the fact that, I will say this. Zendaya is more talented than Meghan Markle. I'm going to get some hate. It's going to be fun. Be a good time. Good time, Charlie. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't care if you like Zima. I mean, I, 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 I'm gonna guess you probably drive a Subaru. I'm going to heck for that one. Spaceship Vampire. I do too know how to think for myself. CNN told me so. You guys are on fire today. Love y'all. All right. Let's see. You guys are on fire. I'm loving today. RC says, "Don't worry about it, culture." Well, I don't. I try not to say bad words. There is a chance, like my friends out there. I consider all of you my friends. I mean, a few of you are trolls. Until you do something terrible, you're kind of probably my friends still. But uh, I look at it and I'm like, I know that there's people out there driving around with their kids and grandkids in the car listening to this show. So, I don't curse during the day. In the evening, on Sundays specifically, all bets are off. But that other stuff, Hey, Mary Rose Morning Song says, "Love hearing your common sense musings, CC. Thank you." Well, thank you. And welcome to the membership because I think you are one of the recipients of the generosity of the Weatherman. That's right. We got a few more super chats to get to, too. You guys are absolutely the best. Yeah, the generosity yesterday was over the top. I just want to say thank you again. If Nita's here, thank you, Nita. Or if you're watching on the replay, thank you. Oh, by the way, you out there, the one that's watching on the replay, in the comments below, while you're watching, type in to me the number of viewer you are and that you're part of the replay gang. That's right. It's a way I can track that and I appreciate it. Right. And if you feel really giving, of course, there's the what is it? The super it's a super thanks. You can super thanks. You can super thanks on any of my videos, I believe. But yeah, kind of a neat thing. Admiral Teague. Says tell it. I'm trying. Yep. And let's see who else is out there. Can you take me higher? Yeah, I can. And here it is. Da, 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 da. We've got Mark Daly for 20, Culture Casino Cash, and apparently the Knight Rider theme. DEI isn't just wrong, it's destructive. Yes. It's why Boeing can't make planes anymore. Yes. Well, I mean that and some other issues that they've had. And it's why California is being destroyed by a completely preventable tragedy. Yes. This is not the first time we've had a conversation about the ill preparedness of the land management and wildlife management in California, something they knew would save them a disaster like this. The preventative measures that they are supposed to be doing, including the development of more water infrastructure and towers, the ability to get things done. But they're in a conundrum right now, the state of California, a beloved place for me, or used to be anyway, up until the last few years, um, that they've overregulated themselves to a standstill. I mean, Adam Carolla kind of broke that, out in what it takes to get a house built or rebuilt in this situation. There are a lot of environmental garbage things that California has put in place that many of these people are going to jump through so many hoops just to get their house rebuilt. It's going to take them years. Not to mention the fact that the insurance companies knew this was a problem, so they ran away. If that wasn't your first clue, I don't know what would have been, but cutting the budget of the LA Fire Department? Are you bleeping kidding me? Anyway, completely preventable. It must be stopped for survival reasons, if not moral ones, indeed. And again, it all is weighed down by politics. And I hate to say that. It's the gosh darn truth, though, isn't it? That this is a result of the poor politicians and their motivations, their desire to stay in power and get more money. And I'm going to tell you right now, there is no way in the world a politician earning a couple 100,000 a year is a multi millionaire in a matter of a couple of years, legally, rightfully, morally. It's why everybody calls out the politicians as corrupt. Even people that you think are good politicians and are actually representing their constituency. Are you kidding me? Thank you for that. I appreciate it, Mark. Saw you sent another one, so we'll try to get to that quickly. But I mean, a lot of arrests are being made in this wildfire thing, which we're going to get to next. I'm bummed, dudes and dudettes, culturians, culturistas. I'm bummed. Why? I'm bummed because places that I knew, places I grew up in and around, and opportunities that I had that are now only memories because absent a few photos, they don't exist anymore. The quaint Pacific Palisades is gone. Tens of thousands of structures are gone. The beauty around the Rogers area, around Malibu, around the beaches. The beaches are still there. Can you imagine what's going to get washed into the ocean after the next set of rains? Well, in addition to all the mudslides that are going to happen now because of poor land management. Thank you, Six. Diversity of thought, equity for homeless animals, and inclusion of Twilight films in the horror genre. Yes, thanks for bringing it back to something a little calmer. Sorry, guys. I know I get a little ranty when we get to these subjects, but I get irritated. very, very irritated. I'm not irritated with Hillis Mallory for 2 Culture Casino clams. Zima, featured drink of Babylon 5. I did not know that, if that's true. Uh, uh, Culture, you are our Gandalf the White. Well, thank you, Curtis Joseph. I appreciate that. People that drop an F-bomb every sentence just have no concept of English communications. I think it's helpful to emphasize if you do it infrequently, it has more impact. It does elevate the emphasis, but I'm with you. I believe that the diversity of vocabulary is incredibly important. Um, you know, I mean, plain spoken, there's a place for it, and there certainly is actually in speeches the opportunity to surprise and shock everybody. If you've studied the science of audience retention and attention, um, you do get that, but I don't know. I don't feel like other than in because of infrequency, it becomes more impactful. I think that's probably I think that's probably why I selectively use it. So, and again, I do focus on doing it in the evenings because there's less likely that there's young ears involved. So there's that. Hemorrhoid Hurts is here. Well, well, well. What's going on here? What are you doing up at 3 a.m., my brother? Good to see you. We should all get together and have a beach campfire in a safe location and do mushrooms and not do mushrooms, do schmores and things like that. Wow, that sounded terrible. That was an accidental slip up. Goodness, that's going to get me a lot of trouble. No, this is not the Joe Rogan show, and no, I'm not encouraging you to do that. That was a complete accident. Mark Daly, that is terrible. For $20. I can't believe I just said that. CC, you said the key word, American exceptionalism. That's the real target. The haters of America have co-opted the enviro civil rights. Well, they're not civil rights anymore, are they? Women's rights, which really, what rights do women not have? And use them as a Trojan horse to destroy America. Yeah, because everybody can get behind the idea that we support civil rights, but that's not what civil rights groups do anymore. Everybody can get behind the idea of women's rights, except that I need somebody to point out what rights women don't have that men have or anybody in between have, if you want to believe in the neo-Marxist idea of like multiple gender garbage. But anyway, I did not mean to say that. I was trying to say schmores. Apparently, I guess we could grill like portobellos and stuff. I like that portobello burger. Anyway, that's crazy. I don't know why that word popped in my head. Anyway, Culture Casino wrong. I am. The Palisades will be rezoned for apartments and condos. The victims will never be able to rebuild. If this happens, then it's all a corrupt game. And I'm going to tell you right now, you can't do that in that area. Those people own those locations. They will sue. They will see if people become awakened because of this absolute disaster, they're never going to vote for these politicians again. You think Karen Bass is going to survive? No, especially not with all the bologna sausage that just came to light. And if it's true that she was trying to cut another 50 million from the fire budget, wow. Not to mention the fact, and again, I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying that there's been reported multiple times. I am not confirming that. I am just saying if that's true. Um, and again, if the focus has been on everything but hiring the right people with merit for the job, again, you are going to have a massive swing of that pendulum in that state. It was already, on the verge of starting to look a little more purple. And I think the minute you start to remove illegal residents, um, illegal entrance into the country, I'll say it that way, from the census in California, their influence in politics will wane and fall off. Not to mention the fact that, if you remove the population that's not in that state or this country legally, yeah, you immediately change a whole lot of other things that may have been going on as well. So there's that. But if that turns out to be true, Boosh, and I've been hearing those thoughts, um, game over. Yeah, Cal exit is real. Ron is right. People have been bailing out of California for a while. They're losing corporations. They've lost oil producers. They've lost. By the way, California could be an energy hub. It's just not. Why? Because of the terrible, terrible leadership that's there. Because of the ideological entrenchment that's in that state. You've been blue for most of the last 50 years, 40 years, right? Since after Reagan exited, you had a brief dalliance with a movement forward. You've had very little Republican leadership there because it's the deck stacked against them. And at the same time, I mean, as Paul Chato said the other day on Midnight's Edge in the morning, in the first hour, that you have you have these people that are guilty for no reason because they feel like they didn't earn it. That's yes, I'm talking about film, television, music, etc. People in entertainment have a lot of guilt. They don't think they earned it. They for whatever reason, there's something in their consciousness that tells them, right? And so they align themselves with all of the touchy feely stuff. Great, um, but unfortunately, you have nothing to be guilty for. Um, you know, your opportunity you took advantage of, you win. But that's not going to help drive your state forward. Your guilt and you taking on all these, bleeding heart things doesn't help your state. It destroys it, as a matter of fact. You guys, if this really, if some of this, and again, this is going to be studied for decades, but if Newsom's desire to save the schmelt was really one of the driving factors in all of this damage, billions and billions of dollars in damage, and is it fair that the American people as a whole, the tax-paying public, actually has to underwrite this terrible disaster, this preventable terrible disaster that occurred because of the terrible political leadership in that state? No. Which is why Biden's willingness to throw that statement out there in public, but let Florida, North Carolina, and the other southeastern states suffer because they don't align with the politics of Joe Biden. Yeah, that's the real Christian humanitarian approach to things. The fact that FEMA was actively and openly discriminating against people in that state. Figure out what's happening and why things are two-tier and why they don't investigate all of the terrible things that have been shown to be mostly, if not completely true, when it comes to, people operating very bad situations. People are exiting California. Your workforce is going to be very limited. Your tech is leaving California. It's not just Musk. Tech companies are bailing out. There's a reason. Mark Fields for $4.99 says, "Hello, beautiful people. I bid you all positive vibes. May the rest of the year be great for us all." I agree, and thank you 100% for that $5 Culture Casino clam gift to the channel, Mark. I appreciate it and all your support. All right, Channel Surf is here. Uh, Channel Surf's giving a recommendation for the use of this word. It is a great punctuation. We had a great comedian talk about that. Man, if he was here today, what do you think he would say? Carlin was amazing. I'm scrolling, guys. I'm trying to get to the member and amazing chats for others. Jeremy Turner's in the house. What's up, Jeremy? He sent a member chat. Let me pull that up real quick. Says congrats on the growth. I remember with less than 50 people in here. So do I. It wasn't that long ago. I feel like we're really starting to make headway. I probably just thwarted that all with this bit of of a rant, but there's that. But thank you. That's good to see you. Morgan King, a longtime supporter of the channel, did a member chat. This is another advantage of being a member. You get excellent opportunities to get a free super chat, basically. And Morgan King celebrates 37 months of membership. Hey, Culture, good morning. When is the next High Roller stream? Let's get it done. And I need to get a Discord. I really do. I have one. I haven't logged into it forever. I need to set that up as a channel and a vehicle for all of us to communicate. I think that would be very helpful. A lot of people have ideas and stories that I never get to see until too late. So maybe Discord is the way to go. I thought before this it was Gilded, but Gilded is now corrupted by the Roblox garbage, and I don't even bother to open it anymore. So there's that. But thank you, Morgan King. I appreciate it. I think I caught up. I think I caught up. Batman Well is here. Says only problem is that Californians will take their California politics with them. They'll be fighting uphill. It was funny. Bill Maher a few weeks ago, if you caught any of the shorts or anything else that anybody did, or even the coverage of like channels like mine or a lot of the Reacts channels do, they took a clip from Bill Maher talking about the fact that he'd been in contact with friends. I think it was from his after hour show or whatever, where they drink and smoke green lettuce. Um, but that he had basically been communicated with to the effect that the neighbors, when these people relocate places, the neighbors are always kind and helpful and everything else, and that their opinion of the other side, the other tribe, and that's the other problem, is looking at things like us versus them. I mean, we're guilty of it. I'm guilty of it, but um, is that we're very kind. You see this in places like one of those Charlie Kirk gets together on college campuses or at TPUSA or anything like that. Like I went to AmFest. Well, there were people there that certainly weren't, you know, right wing or MAGA or Republican that attend these events to, figure out what it is that attracts people to a movement like that. An idea of making America great again, American exceptionalism, as I talked about before. And they get into those crowds and try to get gotcha moments, and there's none to be had. I mean, there are other, not infamously, but in a positive way. There have been people that are black or Hispanic that go to these events and they're shocked by the acceptance of all of these people around them. It's one of the reasons why I've started to feel more positively about things and about the direction of culture. The big tent theory has always been in place, but it's it's not been in practice in a very long time. And when you go to one of these events, whether it be Amfest or just even a channel meetup with creators that are in my sphere, um, those moments, um, they're eye opening. The brotherhood of man actually is a thing, and I know, ladies, it sounds sexist. It's not, but the unity, it truly exists. The big tent exists. There are many ideas that come into the big tent. If they can't be shot down by logic or empirical data, they oftentimes make it into a big tent, which is why MAGA is different than the traditional GOP. The GOP is it got its own set of problems, right? The party of the elephant's got issues, and the party of the donkey does a lot. You have to govern with logic, reason, reason, and facts. You cannot corrupt it with feelings. It just destroys it. You can throw billions of dollars over decades into education and everything goes downhill. Why? Sorry, guys. Let me cough for a minute. Because you put your faith in a terrible idea that Jimmy Carter launched, and you made this Department of Education where it's mostly administration, administrative rules, and ideas like Common Core math baloney sausage. Bad ideas in pursuit of feelings. There's certain things that work in given cultures. The metric system outside of science doesn't work really well here in the United States, right? They tried to hammer that crap into us since the 70s. Nobody uses it outside of science. Seriously. We already had something else. It was working. Anyway, it is what it is. Got some more super chats out there. Got to get to it. Oh, absolutely not, Monkey Jeebus. That honey scam was amazing. See, and this is why I look, I'm gonna do a poll. Should I have a reaction channel as well? Because there are videos I don't make, or that actually don't perform well that would do really well on a reaction channel. I think that would be good. I think you could pair it with relationship conversations and stuff like that. So I'm gonna do a poll here in a second, okay, guys? My pal Hammeroid Hurts from across the world in Australia sends an Australian $2 culture clam saying, I only do 4 hours of sleep, always haunting the house. That's not good. My friend, please take care of yourself. Do 4 hour naps too. Do the 4 hour thing. Apparently, that's supposed to be good for some people, right? And of course, there's always the quote unquote night watchers that have the weird circadian rhythm thing. I think Joe Rogan's talked about that a couple of times. But thank you, Hemorrhoid Hurts. And thank you, Storm Weaver from Canada for 25 Culture Casino clams all the way from the Canucky Buck Canadians. Thank you, my friend. Says, good afternoon and hi from Canada, Culture Casino. Thank you for all your work against the woke mind virus. Please keep up the fight. I will. I will. I do it a little less hyperbolically than some, but yes. And some of the earliest conversations that Comics Division and I had while we were still doing Monday Night Meltdown or the original version of yelling at parked cars, which I desperately miss. I'd love to do that with him again. It was a very small panel of people that were very driven against the woke mind virus. I think we need to figure out a way to make that show return. But I'm running out of hours in the day. If I'm writing articles now for for that park place, and I'm doing 7 live streams a week, and I'm doing on my channel alone maybe 8, and I'm doing 1 or 2 or 3 videos a day for my channel, plus that game place, plus a live stream there, plus live streaming on all the other affiliated channels. Yeah, I'm running out of time, but I will keep up. And thank you for your support, Storm Weaver, very much. Let's see. Hillis Mallory for 5. Culture Casino Clam says, when you leave the circus of Cali, you find that not everyone is a clown. Sure. Sure. But I've got great friends in California, and I have friends that have left California. I have friends and family in California. And from my time being there, living there, way back when, and back in the day, I can tell you, um, didn't used to be that way. Didn't used to be that way, especially not in Southern California. Very, very red. Different now. Picasso says, game over. Okay. Cough into my elbow. All right. Will that help? Or will it just make my elbow wet? Yeah, I worry about your sleep pattern, 6, as I scroll through. I think I am. I'm only 1 minute behind. Amazing. You're amazing. Thank you. By the way, I love the fact that I can put little heart emojis on on the chats. I think that's cool. Nerdrotic left Cali. Never been happier. I'm thinking, hey, and you talk to him personally, he does say that. And he says it on his shows and he says it wherever he can. And he's not wrong. All right, let's get caught up with some of the other stuff we're going to talk about. Um, and these are bad things to report about California, which I love. And it's rough. It's rough out there, folks. And we will we'll get to this story. That's what we'll do. Can't always pick where you get your news from, but you can certainly know whether or not it's accurate, especially if there are multiple sources. But the California wildfires are raging into the fifth consecutive day. That's right. The story was published this morning, um, and the death toll is climbing. There's fresh evacuations. There are lots of arrests being made for looting. Apparently, some arson, obvious stuff going on. Um, the Palisades fire is still only 8% contained. The Eaton fire is 3% contained. I thought it was more contained than that. Goodness. Obviously, this is from Fox News, but the devastating California wildfires have moved into the fifth consecutive day on Saturday. The number of people officially confirmed dead has climbed to 11, and that's according to Los Angeles County Medical Examiner. The number is expected to rise, however, as cadaver dogs go through leveled neighborhoods to assess the devastation to an area larger than San Francisco. The situation remains volatile. Of course, it does, or volatile, depending upon where you live in the country. With the massive Palisades fire only 8% contained, Eaton only 3% contained, according to the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection. More than 12,300 homes and buildings have gone up in flames, and fresh evacuations were ordered Friday night in Mandeville Canyon and the Interstate 405 freeway. Um, after a flare up on the eastern flank of Palisades fire. Wow, that's crazy. Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna compared the disaster to an atomic bomb blast. A lot of people have recently, but pledged the community would find a way to recover. AccuWeather, a private company that provides data on weather and its impact on Thursday, increased its estimate of the damage and economic loss to 135 to 150 billion. Sounds like hurricane season in Florida. And that's awful, by the way, regardless of what disasters, wherever they are. Awful. So far, no official cause has been given. Please. A company that monitors electrical activity says faults along the Los Angeles power grid skyrocketed in the same areas where 3 of the major wildfires are currently raging. That's possible. Also consider this, that the first thing you lose in a fire, especially a residential fire, but this could be said about many fires, is electrical service. So Bob Marshall, the chief executive Whisker Labs, told Fox News Digital that the company recorded sharp increases in faults in hours prior to the Eaton, Palisades, and Hearst fires. Faults are caused by tree limbs touching wires or wires blowing in the wind and touching. That creates a spark in a fault, and we detect all of those. Interesting. There's been some respite with the strong Santa Ana winds, which, by the way, oftentimes are praised for keeping certain areas cooler. And oftentimes you open your windows and stuff to bring in the breeze. Obviously, at certain speeds, that's very detrimental, especially in this situation. So the winds have helped spread the flames at furious speeds, 70 and 80 miles an hour. while winds are calmer Saturday morning. And this is something that Polly was talking about the other day, and I thought that was wonderful information that he gave about the marine layer and everything else rolling in. New fire weather watches have been issued for Saturday evening into Sunday as stronger Santa Ana winds return. Firefighters are battling the blaze, and they are basically superhuman at this point, using helicopters and aircraft to douse the flames. Newsom has deployed the National Guard to support law enforcement efforts. That's right, because of looting. And then this was done in a affluent area or affluent areas initially, or this happened, I should say, in affluent areas. This brings the total number of on the ground personnel working with local and federal agencies to 8,000. More than 600 guardsmen are assisting local authorities, the Pentagon said Friday. Marines and other military service members are on standby. Well, that never, I'm not even going to say it. Doesn't really matter. Um, in some parts of Los Angeles, residents have returned to their still smoldering neighborhoods, even as the threat of new fires persisted and the nation's second largest city remained unsettled. For some, it was a first look at the staggering reality of what was lost as the region of 13 million people grapples with the gargantuan challenge of overcoming the disaster and rebuilding. Good gravy. Some of these pictures that I've seen have been just god awful. Um, Looting has become a problem. You've got Attorney Nathan Hochman warning plunderers that they would be punished. Well, hey, there's that. Um, at least California in the last election elected to make theft and similar crimes illegal again. Look at that. It's just terrible. Will Rogers Western Ranch House and a Queen Anne style mansion in Altadena. Still, man. Mayor Karen Bass is terrible. Um, not heeding a fire department memo last month, raising concerns about the impact of budget cuts would have on their response to wildfires. All of this was a disaster, and it's been coming, it's been pending, and the two people in this photo are largely to blame, and their policies and similar policies. Anyway, it is what it is. All right, got a couple more super chats and member chats out there. Um, let's get to them real quick. Um, there's Hillis Mallory's. Got that one a minute ago. We got a few others to get to. Hemorrhoid hurts for another 2 Australian culture clams. Says up 3 a.m. Check servers, watch CC, chickens, farm, bed. Good for you, my friend. Good for you. Take care of those aminals that you got around there. I'm not a little bit jealous at all. But hey, we'll be overcoming that soon. I saw a member chat roll through. I saw one. Terry Rose. Hey, buddy. Terry says Dick Van Dyke, 99, using a garden hose to fight the fire. Wow. Amazing. But I wouldn't imagine that anybody up there would have left easily. Those properties, that location, that area is beautiful. Winds plus canyons plus dead grasses and, um, you know, winter mode trees do not make a good situation. Not at all. Want to say congratulations to Kronos Godweisen. Was gifted a membership by the Weatherman, who's been contributing memberships left and right. How long are you going? I might bail for football if you go too long. Well, I think where are we at? We're at about an hour and a half. At most, I'll go a half hour more. At most, we've got to get y'all over to Salty Nerd Podcast coming up next. So there's that. But I do have other stories to cover, because I want to talk a little bit about something on a more interesting, maybe happy note for some of you, but kind of an odd situation that looks like the Hollywood Reporter jumped into last evening. So we got to talk about idea theft, um, and copyright lawsuits, and how these types of things happen to um, companies like Disney. What are you talking about, culture? Well, shifting gears, but staying in California, believe it or not, you have you have Disney maybe doing something bad again, and I do mean again. I do mean again. You see, Moana 2 has sparked copyright lawsuit as animator revives idea theft claims. Again, talking about how his idea may have been stolen. Buck Woodall claims awards contenders stole ideas from the screenplay he wrote, while Disney says the works aren't similar. With a little more than a week left before the Academy Awards nominations are set to be announced, which were delayed, by the way, because of the fires, excuse me. Disney has been sued for allegedly copying the idea for Moana and its sequel. Animator Buck Woodall, in the lawsuit filed on Friday in California federal court, claims Disney ripped off elements of a screenplay he wrote for an animated film called Bucky. Both works, which are set against the backdrop of an ancient Polynesian village, follow teenagers who defy their parents by embarking on a dangerous voyage to save their homes while encountering spirits manifested as animals along the way. Uh oh. The filing on Friday's lawsuit follows a court ruling in November that Disney doesn't have to face an identical copyright lawsuit brought by Woodall over Moana because he sued too late. Uh oh. The release of Moana 2 allowed him to initiate further legal action. Bum, bum, bum. In that case, the court found that a jury should decide whether the works at issue are substantially similar if the statute of limitations has not passed. It also concluded that an individual at Disney Animation TV may have seen the copyrighted materials from Bucky prior to the beginning of the development for Moana, which was released in 2016. There is a disputed issue of genuine fact regarding substantial similarity and striking similarity between the parties' works, wrote the U.S. District Judge Consuelo Marshall. Moana 2, which may garner an Academy Award nomination for Best Animated Feature, debuted to $224.2 million at the box office, smashing numerous records on its way to the biggest five-day opening in history. The original grossed to $687 million worldwide. Disney didn't immediately respond for requests for comment. And starting back in 2003, Woodall says he provided a screenplay and a trailer for Bucky to former Mandeville Films director of development Jenny Marchick, now DreamWorks Animation's head of development for features. She allegedly asked about providing further materials, including character designs, production plans, and storyboards, by assuring him she could greenlight the film. At the time, Mandeville had a first look deal with Disney and had offices on its facilities in Burbank. Ooh, it was in Burbank animation area. Wow. The lawsuit points to similarities between Moana and Bucky. One example, both celebrate a recurring theme of a Polynesian belief of spiritual ancestors manifested as animals. Other similarities include the protagonist's journey, starting with a turtle, plot involving a symbolic necklace, a main character who encounters a demigod adorned with a giant hook and tattoos. Holy cow! Disney's Moana was produced in the wake of Woodall's delivery to the defendants of virtually all constituents parts necessary for its development and production after more than 17 years of inspiration and work on his animated film project. Jeez. I don't know. Disney should have just paid this guy and had it go away if they planned on sequels or any follow up, because this just extends the opportunity for him to go at him. So this will be interesting. We'll have to see what happens, but I thought you guys would enjoy A little possible Schadenfreude, maybe. We'll see. Um, yeah. So there's that. People sue for this all the time. How often do they win? Not often, Six. You are correct. But it seems like there's a lot there. Um, let's see. Breeze Feats says 4 a.m. here. Well, welcome. And thanks for being here. Man, it's early for y'all. Guys, get up. Watch me. Middle of the night. It's great to see you. We got Dakota out there saying, good morning, Culture Casino. Good morning, everyone. Wisconsin. Nice. Nice. It's interesting to find out where everybody is. All right. I forgot to do this. Let's do it now because we don't want the show to go on without having done this. I'm starting a poll. Should I have a separate reaction channel? Question mark. And apparently I don't know how to spell separate or I mistyped, but there's the poll, everybody. Coming your way right now. And thank you, Dakota. I don't have any bear news today. Butter Biscuit was the one that sent me that other wonderful story of a bear versus pig yesterday. That was fun. Six lives in Hoth. Well, there you go. And the mom is here. Hey, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. There's Shellbach, one of my old pals from way back in the day. We used to stream together every Sunday. Good to see you, Shellbach. Man, Washington's cold and snowy. The show must go on. Make the show go longer. Well, I mean, people usually do that with super chats. A lot of people try to drive the show longer, but there is a poll in the field. I think I corrected it before I hit send, but I spelled separate wrong. Hillis Mallory. So Star Trek plagiarized Babylon 5 and the tardigrades, and Moana plagiarized Bucky. Huh. Seems this is more and more of a thing. It happens a lot in creativity. There's a concept scientifically of parallel thought and all the other things there. I mean, we could certainly get into that, but if everything is largely similar, then you have an actual thing. Um, Speaking of actual thing, yes, Butter Biscuit. I said thank you for Bear versus Pig. It was amazing. Tina Guzman, good to see you. And I see Darth Gutierrez is in the house. Awesome. Look at all these people. The beautiful people. Yeah, and Andy Masterson, the very talented man himself, is in the house. Good to see you, Andy. Andy's got a likeness figure of me, an action figure. If you want your own hobo Gandalf or Beach Punk Casino, you can pick me up. You show me to your friends. Pocket size casino. All right, I need to talk a little bit about Herr Starmer, Keir Starmer. For my friends in the UK, you deserve it. The awareness that's going around now about him being possibly involved with the non-pursuit of legal action when it came to the preening gangs. I'm going to say it that way because um, that is a very, very bad word on the YouTube thing. But the folks that go around and do very bad activities to young ladies and underage people and other problems. UK's got a problem. They've had a problem with the forced multicultural expansion in the UK, or the tolerated one, depending upon people's positions. That level of tolerance has definitely changed the culture in the UK, um, and a lot of accusations and statements about Keir Starmer's performance as the director of public prosecutions from 2018 to 2013. Um, for lack of a better way of saying it, been called into question. So much so that while the country at large wants an investigation into the lack of law enforcement and punishment levied for very bad behavior, um, the folks that in Parliament and obviously the government have elected not to do so. So these accusations, whether true or not, should certainly be looked into, and they're trying not to. Starmer has inserted himself into other people's politics, and he's now calling out the fact that people are drawing attention to his background and his current performance as prime minister. So Starmer's gone about defending his record, um, tackling the issue, as he says, head on, claiming that by the end of his term, that CPS had the highest number of child abuse prosecutions on record. And the question being, is that because there's much more abuse that was being done at the time, and that naturally would have occurred. And if that's so, then maybe it wasn't done enough. So a lot of people are suggesting that. There have been a lot of calls for a national inquiry into this, with some accusing Starmer and the government of blocking those inquiries. And of course, political debates and people like Elon Musk and Nigel Farage, and of course, anybody who could take an opportunity out of this has been doing so because of the policies of, well, many issues in the UK, including a lack of free speech. Not that that was something that was a big deal up until very recently. Um, and neither of the in power parties over the course of the last several years have done much to reinforce any form of public expression. In fact, they've done everything to deter it and to try to silence their opponents and even silence Americans, threatening them with law enforcement. Well, come and get us. Not going to do well. Allegations of U.S. election interference have followed Starmer around, along with other political opponents in the UK. For some reason, we are now at odds with the people who proclaim to be our biggest ally, our biggest and our longest ally. Um, so obviously, Musk has been pointing to what he perceives as evidence of a lot of very poor things that have been attempted. But here in the United States, there have been reports about people being sent here in support of the Biden administration, and using political operatives from that UK in the US election system, which is clearly, as anybody could define it, election interference from a foreign power, which is a no no. So let's see. Um, this is only one of many problems that Starmer has, but silencing your own populace is always a look of tyranny, because it is, and not acquiescing to your constituency, your largest element constituency, the majority of the constituencies, on reacting to the massive issues that you have in your country is a problem. My friend, Nate, you know him as Mr. H, um, speaks about the fact that the country, the UK, is not exactly the richest country in the world, and it's a very rich city in London. And London seems to drive all of the traffic on a lot of these very poor decisions. Sounds an awful lot like California and New York. So you end up with the vast majority of people not being represented properly or well, and or having their interests be pursued and codified. In fact, The one thing that Starmer could do to alleviate the public perception that he's an out and out tyrant would be to ensure free speech and free expression of the populace. They absolutely don't want to do that because it calls attention to lots and lots of failures. So, what do? Well, we pay attention. Here in the States, we pay attention and we utilize our social media as we choose, as we are allowed to do here in this country, to highlight the shortcomings. That's what we do. We've been doing it for years, whether we had social media or not, calling attention to the problems that were occurring in Iran and Iraq, talking about the free times that existed in Iraq, calling out issues with the expansion of or I guess the destruction of agriculture in given Middle East countries in favor of producing drug plants such as poppies. That was done as an act of a form of government that overextended into an international area. We can talk about it. We can talk about the freedoms once enjoyed by countries that are now consumed by theocracies that are literally just, tearing down any kind of human or civil rights. But people are afraid to do that. I don't think I'm going to be anymore. I think we're going to talk a little closer on issues like this and about the poor operation of a country as great as the UK. I think it's a tragedy that they treat their people ill for memes or for public statements. I think if and I think they know this, if they do elect to take public figures, popular global public figures, um, into custody for these things, that they know that can of worms is open. So I'm very proud of the UK citizens that have some global effect, such as J.K. Rowling and Jeremy Clarkson and Mr. Bean. Owen, I think Rowan Atkinson and many others that have been fighting on this hill since 2013. The fact that they're willing to speak out against these things, I think, is really important because if any celebrities have any kind of influence, it's the people that I named. You know, I don't necessarily have to be online with all of their policies or any of their statements, but I do appreciate that at great risk they are speaking out publicly. And I think that uh, Keir Starmer, were he to have any or accept any of those people to be taken into custody over their statements, I think that would be the very moment at which he would be fully doomed, which he should be already. Anyway, I'll take a look at what you guys have to say, and we will start to wrap up, and I will close out the poll. There's a poll in the field, folks. If you haven't already voted on whether or not I need a reaction channel so that I can post a little more freely things like this and reactions to certain events and things like that and activities, and maybe have a show that talks about relationship once a week because I would like to do that. I think it'd be fun. And I think it'd be informative. And I like to learn things in addition to talk about stuff. So there's that. Let's see. Virtual Insanity says, I've had my channel suspended for 24 hours once. Yep. For speaking your mind. And on 3 other occasions, it asked me to rethink what I was about to submit. Yeah. So very strange form of censorship. Hello, all that greeted me. That's right. Blackia, what's going on? Black Belt Barrister is a good channel to watch if you're interested in UK political matters. Excellent. And I am. And I love, obviously, Lotus Eaters and um, obviously Nate and Bo have a political show. I believe once a week or as often as they release an episode. I think that's great. I think we need to expand our thinking and a conversation to an understanding of what they're attempting to do globally. I think that's very, very important. And for the 300 of you here right now across the various platforms, and thank you to Rumble. And if you don't know this, I am on Rumble. Please subscribe to me on Rumble on both the channel and, of course, the main account. and subscribe to me on X if you are not already. I speak out on X all the time. I'm trying to get that to be a venture that might be able to support all of my efforts. So once I get to the viewer count that I need every quarter, hopefully I can be monetized over there, much like my friends Drunk 3PO and others. So um, should be a lot of fun. And I am tired of that kind of moderation, by the way, that you all are mentioning right now, like Six is talking about. That's right. God invented social media for cat videos and conspiracy theories. There you go. Six loves and enjoys when I put a poll in the field. Likes a solid polling. I understand. Me too. Breeze Feet says Starmer's like a modern day equivalent to Jimmy Carter. Enters politics for uh, sweet but plainly dumb reasons. Gets into gets into office or power. I think I'm just assuming that that's office, and leaves a trail of destruction in his wake. Yeah, Jimmy Carter was one of the most destructive presidents we've had in terms of foreign policy, fiscal responsibility, education, all the departments that came into being because of that man should be completely eliminated. Um, we are under in the states, and I guess in the UK and many other countries as well, under a form of authoritarian rule through an administrative state, making rules that nobody voted for under the color of law, which they aren't because they weren't codified into law in the United States, and therefore, organizations, companies, and humans are all governed by dumb stuff. I'm tired. Six is not going to follow me to Rumble, so after taking down my channel with her free speech statements that I read, she'll let me suffer. It's good to know. But thanks, Breeze Feats. I think you're correct. Sin. Joey B said, "Hold my beer." That's true. Oh man. Lou V says, "Who cares about rich egomaniacs patting each other on the back?" That's another problem, right? Politics used to be anybody, everybody, people who were actually concerned citizens, all the way up through our federal government. It wasn't a job, it wasn't a career, and it certainly didn't pay. Outside of a small stipend you would receive for travel and lodging, I believe there was no incentive to be a senator, congressperson. Um, there certainly wasn't a good reason to be president. But if you were at all involved in actual civics and the idea of governance under the authority of your constituency, then you went to work and you did it. You doctors, lawyers, um, other politically inspired business owners took time away from their practices, businesses, et cetera, to represent the people that they lived close to, their neighbors, the people they talked to. They levied, debated on laws in support of their community and interests. There wasn't paid lobbying. There wasn't any of this other stuff, which is fully corrupted politics in the United States now. Um, we're very much a different country from how we were founded. I think we need to get back to that. All right. We've got some great people that rolled in the door here at the last moment, of course. Brandy Thoto, I don't think I've seen you in a bit, but more bear stories, less Kier stories. I wish. I will look for more bear stories, and if you have one, send it to me. If you follow me on X and you happen to have a verified account, you can send me a DM, a private message with a story. I do that all the time. Ask Butterbiscuit92. He was Friday's story, I think. Can I super chat 8 cents to give Culture the Rumble revenue he'll lose for me not being there? It's not about the revenue, but it's okay. I don't know if you can send an 8-cent super chat. It'd be fun to check. Did I see Big Daddy MRI in the chat? Hang on. Did I? Where's Big Daddy? Big Daddy MRI. I saw Mr. Stock. I see Davina, and I see the lovely Stud Brat. How are you doing, dear? I got to get you on a Friday show. I'm going to have to figure out a way to reach out to you because that'd be great. Hey, Gary Slater's here. Sweet. Sweet. Okay, let's take a look at the poll. Pull down the poll. I'm ending the poll. Ba-ba-ba. The poll says, should I have a separate reaction channel? Yes, 63%. No, 36%. 91 votes in. And, well, there's that. So, thank you. And it's good to see you, Carlos Alfredo Lopez. What's up, buddy? Vic! The benefits of living in a condo. I wake up to my street, sidewalks, and porch shoveled and salt every snowstorm. That is pretty good benefit. I want land, and the snow can just melt. I want to have to carve out a path to get to the chickens and the livestock and to and from the barn. And I want to have a truck with a blade so that I have to clear the drive all the way to the road, and then knock down the giant pile that the snowplow on the street pushed into my driveway. That's what I want to do. Okay. Retro Girl and Lorena have my info. Okay, I will take care of it, and thank you, Stud Brat. Wait a minute. Stunt Brat blocked you? I don't know about that. Popsicle says, thank Culture for a great show. My wife, Mrs. Popsicle, actually sat down and watched the stream with me. Good job. Well, thank you. And hi, Mrs. Popsicle. On that note, we need to wrap it because it is an hour 52 minutes. My friends over at Salty Nerd Podcast are kicking back in. Sadly announcing the death of the streaming career for this show of Dutch Butters, which is a bummer. So I hope Matt's doing okay. I know that work changed for him, so he won't be on the show anymore. But last gasp over there today, maybe go check it out. On that note, I just want to say thank you for the support of each and every one of you. You guys are all wonderful, great, spectacular, and extraordinary. Even those of you that trolled me, even those of you that tried to get me shut down. Well, I'm still here, kids. I'm still here. On that note, Unacceptable Views just dropped by to leave a like. Oh, Weevious one. Well, thank you. Do check out the stream if you're watching on the replay. Again, replay gang down below, and hit the thumbs up and share this out there everywhere. I don't even care if it's on Facebook anymore. You know why? Facebook's going to love me now, according to the Zuck. Again, on that note, be sure you take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, well, see ya.
Culture Casino. 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 Oh. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Oh. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Culture Casino.